are live. I have Aaron today, and we're going to pick his brain, his smart brain on 911, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. Except that I know when I call 911 that I'm going to get the cops and they're going to help me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that. But before we do, make sure you hit subscribe to our newsletter. Go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter, because I will send you weekly tips, all kinds of information, including at the end of this video, I'll tell you how to get your free security assessment. So,
well, just jump off right there. Free security assessment. Well, do tell. What would I get from my free security assessment?
That's a good question, Aaron. What do we get for your free? Don't we go over like your network and find security holes?
We do.
Yeah.
We put some monitors and some agents on that do a number of different things that tell us, give us some visibility, and then that visibility leads into more. You know, one of the first things we like to do is a dark web scan, so that your business, your name, your employees' names, email addresses. We just do a quick dark web scan, and that hopefully doesn't show anything, but if it does, we can clean those up right away. And then if we want to take a step further, the next thing what we would recommend for your business is a pen test, a penetration test. And this is a high-level assessment that's going to test your system, the boundaries of your system, and give you some very important data to make some great changes with, or help you in the future. So we would highly recommend that, and the link below will help you get to that.
This doesn't help with E911 or 911 though, because
well, yes and no. I mean, they're all sort of balled together. I mean, it's all digital.
I mean,
IT.
when you go in and you see their phone system, you could definitely recommend upgrades. And
oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess parlaying onto that notion, I think what we're talking about is we're seeing quite a bit of a transition from traditional service platforms to more of a digital network IP-based platform. And E911, 911 for your telephone service is also been transitioning into a digital compliant realm.
And there's laws.
And there are laws.
They're
correct.
very complicated laws. We're not going to get into the details. We aren't lawyers or lawmakers.
No.
However, we do know that when we install our phone system, it's compliant.
Correct.
Now, before we came on live, he was educating me, and I'd like you to educate our viewers on what 911 versus E911 is.
Yep. So without going into too much detail on the laws, we want to just make sure if there are any viewers out there who work for or work in a large manufacturing business, or maybe a school that's got just multiple wings.
Big building, right?
Yeah, big building.
Like the building we're in?
Two-story building. Correct.
Right?
Correct. That's where the laws really come into play. And if you are in a warehouse or a school campus, the 911 and the E911 really allow our first responders an advantage when coming into an incident scenario. So breaking that down, what 911 is it's going to be the not only the presenting telephone number and address of the location that may have the incident, but it's also going to determine where the call goes to initially. So we want to get that correct, because with telephone service, and Aaron is guilty of this, I'm a superhero and I can save lives. So with telephone service, having the correct 911 information in place beforehand is crucial, and could save vast seconds, minutes of potentially somebody's life.
What kind of information do you have to have in place?
Well, what'll happen is if somebody calls 911, newer digital phone systems are directed to the local county dispatch.
Okay.
If their phone system has not been updated or is lacking some of that basic configuration, that call may go to the national dispatch, which necessarily isn't a huge problem because then you could relay the information of who you are, where you're at, what your address is, blah, 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 to that person, and then they will correspondingly transfer that call locally to get the sheriff or whoever may be the first responder there. However, as I just mentioned, we want to save lives. We are in the business of living, and we want to keep people alive. So if that information is pre-programmed, that call to dispatch gets to somebody local who is going to have a much better concept of who you are, where you're at, what building you're in, and get a hold of some local.
So the way you described it to me before we came on live was when you set up your phone system, you have a number that represents if your small business is just one number, right? And the number has an address associated with it.
Yes.
And all that information in a database somewhere.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. So then E911 for the bigger buildings
Yes.
breaks it down even further.
Correct. Yep.
So let's say I'm in suite 105 and I call 911.
Yep. So what had happened a couple of years ago is the federal government, in response to some of these dreadful incidents that we hear about, decided to build in to their phone systems the capability of, I guess, breaking down those addresses even further. So
zones. That's what's called, right?
Correct. So
okay.
What we do with E911 now is we can take that larger building or larger campus and break it down into smaller sections, and then program those smaller sections into that telephone 911 emergency call. Okay. So now, as a first responder is en route to the address, they can easily see, or if everything's set up correctly, they'll know where to kind of enter the building. They'll know some of the layout of the building. I know our first responders have quite a bit of information already available for them. They may even have like an overhead map of the building with doors and access points and things like that. So it's really meant to shorten that critical first response gap of when the call was made to when action is being performed. And if we could help with that through the phone system and essentially save minutes in people's lives, definitely.
So in a nutshell, that's 911 versus E911.
Correct.
And a little bit of the laws.
Correct.
You have to have that in place.
If you are not compliant, and I don't know the dates, again, we're not lawyers here, but if you are not compliant, not only do you risk, potential injury or fatal or who knows, but there's potential legal and monetary repercussions as well. Okay. So, it's in your best interest if you are a business owner and you have a small business to maybe look into it. It should be pretty quick and easy for a small business, local, Main Street type business. If you're a larger business and you have a large footprint or multi-campus facilities, yes, you are going to want to get your 911 compliancy in place because that's where we're going to potentially run into trouble.
As a home user, I remember when I was first installed that little Google Voice thing.
Yep.
I know it recommended services, and I remember it saying on the thing which services were compliant. So I think they just have that information so that when a call is made from my line, they know where I'm at.
Yep. So good point, Jenny. We did experience quite a bit of remote office.
Yes, that's on my list.
So, most digital phones nowadays can be picked up and brought home.
Yeah.
And we don't, I guess, discourage that. However, we do caveat it that if you do intend to bring your business work phone home, let us know. Because what we can do then is we can program that individual device, so that piece of hardware, and
knows where it's at.
We can populate it with your home address. So
so when we were sent home for COVID, you and Steve did that. Okay, cool. Because I did bring home a phone and I plugged it into my network at home. And even though I felt like, I'm plugged into the office, I'm in the office, the phone knew where I was.
Yep. So on an individual level,
Okay.
you can go in and just say, okay, Jenny's home address is, so now
Yeah.
first responders don't come to DS
DS
Tech,
Tech, they
come
go to.
Correct.
That's a good
Yep.
point. It's interesting. And, I'm glad you brought that up because I do have a list of, little things that we should go through to help you, be prepared for 911, right?
Mhm.
So the first question is, how many locations do you have, right?
Yep.
Because one of the benefits of our phone service, I know we talked about it on a previous live, is that we have customers that have multiple locations, and it's like you can just dial their extension,
Oh yeah.
and it's like you're on the same, like you're in the same building almost,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
However, the phones are programmed, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So,
And to not get too technical, but what we actually do with them when we have
I like the
customers,
smile. He likes
Wow.
this stuff.
when we have customers who have multiple locations, we don't let them dictate. We actually do it for them.
Yeah.
And it's based on how we configure their network. So if Susie, who works in Iron Mountain today, picks up her phone and decides she's going to work in Gladstone tomorrow and doesn't tell us, well, geez, scary, right? But what we do is we configure the IP address of the network to update with the phone.
Oh, cool.
So when she plugs
So
her
she
phone
plugs
in,
it in and knows where she's at.
it just says, "Oh gosh, here's
So
my
that's
IP address. I'm gonna be here today."
all part of the networking
It's all
part.
part of it. Yep.
Oh, that's so smart.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. See, I like working with these guys.
We'll skip this one, but
Yep.
let's go to: do I need to
Yeah, we already talked about
establish
that.
an internal process to ensure movement of equipment? Well, we just did talk about this, but yes, I would highly recommend, if you are doing any kind of
Moving around,
yes,
moving personnel around.
especially something that's going to be vital for health and safety.
Yeah.
Yes. If not, just make a sticky note, send DS Tech a help desk ticket, and we will double check everything for you. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Is there anything else?
How can I integrate on-site security into response process? Wow, this is a big topic too. We might want to do this.
We could do a whole nother live on that. You wanna?
We can.
Awesome.
Just off the top of my head, though, the phones are fairly smart. They can be programmed to do a whole number of things, including one button push 911 calls, one button push public safety calls, one button push speakers, overhead speaker announcements, one button push pre-recorded announcements that say, whatever, we've got a number of
Like,
abilities.
get out of the building now.
Yeah,
Something
fire.
like that,
yeah, there's a number of different ways to program the phones to operate at a high level on a network to ensure that communication is continually managed and the staff is aware of what's going on. Yep.
Awesome. That just about covers it. This last one we already talked about. So
I just touch upon that real quick. And if your phone vendor does not provide any training or certification on your 911, get rid of them.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, we do. I know we do, because you and Steve go out and train the people.
And we test it too.
And we test it. And I know when you mentioned all that fancy one button this and one button that, I know we've tested it in our system, because I've seen the little red pop-up come up on my screen that says so-and-so made a 911 call. Kind of scared me because I didn't know what was going on. But it's interesting, because then everybody in the building knows what's happening, so if they need to help or do something.
That's a very good point, Jenny, is that current phone technology does provide internal response to a 911 call. So if somebody in our building calls 911, a group of us will see that pop up and know that there could have been an incident, or there may be an incident going on. So that's another good benefit of it.
Yeah. We can all help each other out.
Very much so. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome. No, it's a very important topic, and we hope that everybody takes it very seriously. And if you have any questions, DS Tech is a resource.
Yes.
I'm more than happy to answer.
Email security@dstech.net if you have any questions or you want that free security assessment. So make it a great day, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next